Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Myself and Jackson are in a bit of a mood this morning after England's drubbing at the hands of the Netherlands, whereas I imagine Pato is in a pretty good mood.
I didn't see it, but f*** you.
Yeah, there we go. Excellent start. And on the agenda today is Arsenal. So we've recruited two of the fiercest opinions in the Arsenal world, Dave Jackson and Pato. Let's dive straight into our first question, which came from Sad Guna 20, which I imagine these two are. And he has asked, or she, how should Arsenal rebuild their side for them to break into the top four next season? But before we get into that, just a quick reminder to please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a video. Dave Jackson, Arsenal season ended up as somewhat of a disappointment. You were third on the 1st of April. You then slipped to fifth. You won 2 of your remaining 7 games. You lost to Everton, Palace, Wolves, Leicester.
Cheers.
How is your mood? How do you review the season?
Well, the first 7 months, I actually loved the season because I thought we had a different kind of spirit about us. Like, you know, we actually looked to be fair, we never looked solid at the back, but our actual attack was fantastic, and we looked like we could score at any moment. Well, not any moment, but I'm severely disappointed because, like, the fact that before the Everton game, which would have been what, the 10th of April, something like that, we were in pole position, not just to finish top 4, but to finish third. You know, we were in the quarter-final of the Europa League, so there was also a trophy on the cards as well. Yeah. And they just, it's not even like they collapsed. They were just pathetic. Like, you know, don't be wrong. I'm not saying Goodison Park's an easy place to go. But there's games you just don't lose. Like, I'm not saying you've got to go and win every game. Just don't lose. And then obviously we had that game, and then we got turned over by Leicester the following game. And we managed to scrape, and I'm talking scrape, a 1-0 win against Watford when Troy Deeney was sent off after about 7 minutes. and even that, we were very, very lucky to kind of keep a clean sheet there. And you think, all right, then we finally turned the corner. We just need probably another 4 points, maybe. Yeah, probably need about another 6 points after that game to kind of confirm us, you know, in like the top 4. And then at the Emirates, we were so good at Emirates. I think we only dropped points against City and Liverpool, I think, before this, and then we end up losing to Crystal Palace. It's just come on, what's going on there? and then we end up drawing with like Brighton, and it's just, the thing I would say is the league doesn't lie. Like, we are where we are. You know, we finished 5th, but it's so frustrating because the Champions League, not only like the prestige of playing in the Champions League, but it would have unlocked so many more doors for us this summer, and I think it would have allowed our manager to be able to attract a better quality of player, but also give them the freedom to, you know, because I don't know what people talking about. I think talking like maybe 40 million for our budget now, which we need like open heart surgery. Like 40 million is just going to be like basically put like a little cast on, and then maybe hope for the best. So from literally in April, I was loving the season.
And where do you stand on Emery now? Because we've got George in the office, who's pretty anti-Emery, to say.
I think he needs to be given at least like another season. Again, it's difficult to see because kind of like the way we're run now, where you weren't sure who was actually bringing the players in, because obviously two of the players I was absolutely over the moon with last season in terms of Guendouzi and Torreira. But then you look at people like Liechtenstein, like I don't even know what to think of there. And that fella they got from Barcelona, he played about 12 minutes. Like,
Dennis Suarez.
What? Like, don't be wrong. Even if Barca were playing his wages, like there was a place on the bench that we had for 4 months that a youth player could have taken. It was one of the most ridiculous signings. I think, well, not the worst, because, you know, well, maybe one of the most ridiculous signings that we've ever made. So it's very difficult to see like what he's responsible for in that kind of respect. But yeah, I think we at least need to give him another season. But he's got such a tough job. He really, really has. Like, I don't kind of. Yeah, he's got massive job in his hand.
He definitely does.
The thing that I would say is, in terms of the parallels between where we are and where Liverpool were, was it 5 years ago when they lost? Not 5 years, maybe 4 years ago, and they lost the exact same thing where they lost the Europa League final. I don't think they got into Champions League football that season.
No, I didn't think they did.
Don't get me wrong. The big thing they had was Jurgen Klopp. you know, and the job he's been able to do.
And intelligent recruitment.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Like, you know, like they've at least what's his name, John Henry or whatever his name is. He clearly backed his manager and was there to win trophies. Whereas I think the fundamental issue we have at the club, and this isn't me just moaning now, is our Bayona.
Yeah.
We're essentially paying for the LA Rams stadium.
Yeah,
it's absolutely disgusting.
It's not a pretty situation. It's interesting that you bring up Liverpool there because, Pat, I mean, Liverpool sold Suarez, Sterling, Coutinho, 3 of their best players of the last 6 years, and seemingly, created now one of the best teams in Europe. Do you think that Arsenal could potentially have to sell one of their, Aubameyangs, one of their Lacazettes, in order to complete this rebuild?
Yeah, probably. There are a lot of people who don't really want to, but I actually think it's probably the sensible thing to do. Like, I don't want either of them to leave, but if we don't have a lot of money, and this is the thing, like, you get Arsenal fans who, like, Arsenal fans kind of want it both ways. They say, oh, well, we can't sell our big players, but also why can't we recruit like Liverpool? And you think, well, actually sometimes you need to look at the age of those players and say, what can we get for them? And if Aubameyang could go to China, you get a lot of money for him. If Atletico Madrid and Barcelona are interested in Lacazette, you could probably play them off against each other and get good money. So if you sell one of those guys, you've still got a very good forward. And I think you could replace them with 2 younger people, and I don't think you'd actually see a massive drop-off, because it's also a problem for Arsenal that their 2 kind of best players are both centre forwards. Like, it's not like one of them's a wide player. Like, so if you could let Aubameyang go and brought in, say, a Depay and like someone like Joel Linton, this was my suggestion the other day, like, or just a couple of younger forwards, and then maybe, a good left back or something. Overall, you're going to improve the quality of the squad, because Arsenal's attack, they scored a lot of goals this season, but they didn't actually generate a huge number of shots. Like, they didn't have one of the best attacks in the league or anything. And I think it's better to have one forward who gets really good service than 2 forwards who you're just kind of hoping will massively overperform their chances. And don't get me wrong, Lacazette throughout his career has overperformed his chances. He's a very good finisher. Aubameyang is actually like a pretty average finisher across his career, but he's incredible at getting really, really good chances. That's what he's great at. So I'd pretty much kind of see how much I could get for Aubameyang and then say, this will actually kickstart our rebuild. And that's something that needs to happen, because we've had this stats company for years, and people often complain about them and say, well, this was a Stats DNA signing, that was a Stats DNA signing. But the truth is, none of us really know who's responsible for these signings. In the old days, it was just Wenger, and he used to complain he didn't have the money to get like top class players, but also not take chances on young players as much as I would have actually liked him to. There were a few summers where the only kind of young forward he bought was Yaya Sanogo, but then he said, well, we can't afford to go and get a top forward, and you're like, well, why don't you take some sort of 10 to 15 mil like gambles? And I like that that's something that it looks like we might do a little bit again. Like Guendouzi was a 7 mil gamble. Yeah. He is a 19-year-old who can contribute to an Arsenal push for top 4. That is a pretty good indication that he's going to be a very, very good player, despite the fact that at the moment he is pretty error-prone and he does need to get some sloppiness out of his game. Yeah. He's useful at 19. That's crazy. Yeah. So I just think I would probably let Aubameyang go. I would bring in 2 forwards, ideally ones who can play more than one position. And I think that bargains can be had in other places. Like, we have a buyback on a guy called Ismail Benacer who's playing at Empoli this season.
Played really well.
Came through our academy. Like 10 million euros we can get him for, and he's been great in Italy, like in a tough league, and he's 21. Like, you can go and get a couple of those guys and say, you know what, maybe we turn these over next summer, but it's going to take a couple of years to get there. On the Emery front, I think, generally speaking, managers do better in their second season than their first season, or at least they get through a little bit more. Like, if Spurs had judged Pochettino on the basis of his first season, they'd have sacked him. His first season was dreadful. They were not good at all. They were lucky to finish 5th. They were awful all year. They had a midfield of Bentaleb and Mason. They were dreadful. And yet, look at what's happened there. So I think you've got to give them a bit of a chance. Yeah. On the other hand, when there was a rumour that Barcelona were potentially interested in Emery, I felt absolutely no sadness at all. I'd be perfectly happy. I wouldn't give a shit at all if he left. Yeah. Provided we could get in someone decent. Yeah.
It's quite interesting. You're talking about those sort of 10 to 15 million bargains. I don't even know whether these players will, but I was talking with George about who you've been linked with, and William Saliba came up. He's a Saint Etienne centre back. I've never seen him play, but he got about 15 League One appearances, looked very composed on the ball, quite good tackle and interceptions numbers. And then a guy called Alexis Claude Maurice, who's played, he's 21-year-old forward at Lorient, which is obviously the club that Guendouzi came from. But the main talk seems to be at this 40 million double swoop for Sampdoria's Joachim Andersen and Dennis Praet. And I think that's how you pronounce it, Dennis Praet. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. Andersen in particular looks a really promising prospect. I think he's 23, 6'4", very good aerially, very good on the ball. But I'm kind of baffled by Dennis Praet and the links there, Pat. Do you know a lot about him? I don't think his numbers look anything special.
We were linked to him when he was still in Belgium, when he was at Anderlecht. We played Anderlecht in the Champions League one year, and I remember there was a load of talk about us going for him. And back then he was kind of like a young winger. Now he plays kind of towards the base of midfield. To be honest, I've never really understood this guy, like as an Arsenal target. Like, he's okay and he'll be decent in the build-up and he's reasonably press resistant, and that is something that we definitely need. But yeah, he doesn't have huge defensive numbers. He's not a spectacular passer. He doesn't have great dribble numbers. Like, he's just a sort of bit of an all-rounder.
And he's 25 as well. It's not like he's 21.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure I quite get that one. But on the other hand, if, for instance, the rumour that Inter Milan wanted Xhaka was true and you could ship him out for 40, 45 and bring in Praet and Andersen for about the same price, I wouldn't have a major issue with that. Like, I think that Xhaka is one of those guys who, like, as long as he is there, he's going to get played regularly.
Yeah.
And he just cannot play regularly. He can't do it. Like, he's a liability. He's an incredibly good passer with absolutely no other football abilities. Like, he's not quick, he's not a good thinker, he's not got a great touch, he's not two-footed, he can't dribble, like, he's not a good defender. Like, literally all he's got is this genuinely very, very good left foot. But even with that, like, he needs a lot of time and space to do what he does with it. And I just look at Guendouzi and think, a couple of years' time, I reckon Guendouzi can probably be a progressive passer like Xhaka.
Fair. Jacko, you are Czech is leaving, Welbeck is leaving, Elneny and Liechtenstein are expected to leave as well. Liechtenstein, sorry. Liechtenstein, that's the country.
That's the country, Liechtenstein.
But the big thing hanging over you this summer is the Ozil situation as well.
Well, we've also lost Ramsey, which is a massive loss.
Where do you stand on...
we should have sold him 2 years ago, man. Like, we'd have so much more money now if we'd sold Sanchez 2 years ago and Ramsey a year ago. Like, we could have had so much more money.
And if you'd sold Sanchez for a fee rather than a swap a couple of years ago as well.
Well, I don't know if we'd got that much then, but like but the summer before that we could have sold him for 60 mil.
But Jacko, where do you stand on Ozil? Do you think he's got a future at Arsenal?
I'm always going to be a fan of Mesut Ozil, right? But he's not what we need now, if that makes sense. It's like it's. I don't know if we have the good enough players to play around him. You know, if he's in the big games, and I know he gets a lot of criticism for it, but he isn't good enough. Like against like Chelsea, I don't think he had a bad game against Chelsea, but I don't think anyone played good for Arsenal, to be honest. He fundamentally was not good enough. Like considering he is how much he's paid now, 350 grand. He's supposed to be our number 10. Like you want him to. I'm not saying roll his sleeves up and be a Patrick Vieira or anything like that, but just do more. Like, you know, don't get me wrong. He's never ever been the player to beat 5 players and put the ball in the back of the net. You know, and I think what you were saying about. Like I said, I think that's exactly what happened at final. We were just hoping that they were going to play wicked. I don't think we had much of a strategy. Don't get me wrong, we played okay first half. There was that chance where what is this? Like the left back, the Kolasinac or whatever his name is. Kolasinac. Where if he just had a bit more composure, pick someone out rather than just trying to hammer the ball, we go in 1-0 and it's a completely different game there. I think if we could get money for Ozil, then I think we should probably let him go. Yeah. I think again, if we can't, if he starts as an Arsenal player come 15th of August, I'm also happy as well. But I think if we can get decent money for him, then I think it's probably time. For me, there's a load of players that are either going to leave or we should try and ship out this summer.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you want me to get my paper out?
Quite big. Yeah, go for it.
Ozil doesn't really fit like Emery. I think that is one of the issues. Like I don't think he's done as a player. In fact, I think he'll age quite well because of the way he plays. But I think if Wenger had still been at Arsenal this season, I'm not saying we'd have done better overall, but I think Ozil would have had a much better season. Whereas because Emery wants to play more structured football, it just does not suit Ozil. But when you think that there are guys like, you've talked about this before, like Sarabia has like an 18 million euro buyout clause at Sevilla.
25, yeah.
And I think Fornals is somewhere around 25, 30. He still hasn't gone anywhere. Like, you think, well, actually, like, maybe you can't get a lot of money for Ozil, but if you can get 20 mil for him, which I imagine you can, you could replace him with somebody who is younger and will defend more and is a bit more in the Emery mold.
Even
maybe.
Hakim Ziyech's got a really low release clause.
25 million euros, like that would be fine. He's 26 years old.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why we wouldn't do that.
Right, Jacko, director of football at Arsenal, has got his piece of paper out, which is worrying news for everyone.
So hold on.
So
I'm
who's
looking at all the players that are going out. So obviously
There's
Czech's
so
gone.
many question marks on this piece of paper, by the way.
Yes, these are players that we need to replace. So
Okay.
let me explain. So we've got Czech's obviously gone, retired. Danny Welbeck's been released. Lichen, what is it?
Lichtsteiner.
Yeah, he was great. I think that Ospina's got a year left, so if we can get any money for him now, that'd be fantastic.
Is he on loan?
I think he's going to
on
go.
loan,
I think
yeah.
he's going to go for
I thought he'd
about
gone.
4 or 5 million.
Again,
euros,
I think at
probably.
this stage, it's either that or lose him for free next summer.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we get any
That's
money for
fine.
him. I think we can get any money for Mustafi, then it'll be over the moon. And
I reckon we could get 10.
that'd be fantastic.
I reckon a Bundesliga side will give you 10 for Mustafi.
I think if good money comes in for Xhaka, like I just say, if we can get more than what we paid for,
You won't, I'm
I'd
afraid.
be happy.
I think you get max 30.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
like he's
I
he's a
can't see.
regular starter.
I can't see anyone. What did you pay for him? 35?
35,
35
million.
35.
He's a regular starter, and prices have gone through the roof since then. Like,
Yeah.
if a club want him, like Arsenal are in a position where they could be like, he plays basically every game when he's fit. If you want him, you can buy him.
Yeah,
like,
he's got,
it's not like
got
he's
a long
sitting.
contract as well.
He's not like a bench player where
No.
we're like he never plays. Like he does actually play quite regularly. So if somebody comes and wants him,
Can't see it. Maybe Inter Milan. That's
Well,
quite
exactly.
stupid.
So we've got Cole Jenkinson. Oh, Cole. You know,
was dreadful.
boyhood Arsenal fan. But yeah, his contract's up now, so he's again. I would imagine he's going to move on. Nacho, who prior to the final, I would have said give him another year, but I think there was so many signs in that final where, because the thing I used to love about Nacho is he never used to let Arsenal down. Like he's Mr. like kind of
It's the 7 out of 10.
yeah, Mr. 7 out of 10. But also he could play centre half if you need him. He could also play left back. But yeah, I think he's now at that point that maybe we shouldn't renew his contract. But again, if he's there come 15th of August, I'm still happy as well.
Yeah.
Again, Ozil, someone comes in with good money, then fantastic. I mean, if we can get rid of someone like Al Neni, that would be fantastic. Because I mean, we paid about 5. Wasn't much we paid for him, was it? If we can get maybe 10 for him, then I think that's a good little bit.
I
of
think
business.
we probably will. Yeah. Chambers as well. I think we'll get money for.
I think Chambers.
There's a lot of departures though.
There's
Chambers
an
had a
awful lot.
decent
There's an
season.
awful lot.
There's a lot to do.
We are. Despite what we're saying, like we've got 40 million to spend, right? We're in massive.
I don't
trouble.
think that's true. I think we got more than that.
I think we do, because again, if you're a buying club, you don't want to go around the world saying you got 100 million,
Yeah.
because then everyone just puts an extra couple of million.
And
If
last
you sold
summer
all these players, you probably get an extra 65.
I think
if we got you're looking at 120.
You could feasibly get, like, if you sold Aubameyang and like all these guys, you could feasibly have someone between 150 and 200 mil to spend. But I do think we've got more than we said, because last summer they also said 40, 45, and we actually spent 67.
You've got a new kit deal, is that
We
right?
spent 67. Our kit deal's gone from 30 mil a year to 60 mil a year. We've got a sleeve sponsor, which is 10 mil a year. Like, we've renegotiated a bunch of
That
deals.
Visit Rwanda.
Yeah. So we've renegotiated a bunch of deals. So we do actually have about another 40 mil coming in a season. Like, so I would be shocked if we don't have more money than that.
Yeah.
I think also what we've done here, so obviously there'll be no Ramsey, so he'd have been one of our biggest earners, probably been 150, I would say at least, something like that. Czech would have been at least 100. You know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of money coming off the wage bill here, because that, from what I understand, was the
Especially
issue.
for those
That to me would be massive.
And
Like, is it-
Mkhitaryan actually as well.
Stupid business. that was.
Mkhitaryan's
That was-
on like 180, I think.
So if we can get, because from what I understand, that was the issue in January. It wasn't that we were a cash poor club; is that we had no money to pay the wages for the players of the caliber that was actually going to improve the squad, which is why we ended up with whatever his name was, Dennis Suarez, or whatever it was. So obviously, I'm looking at us playing a 4-3-3. So I think one of the things that really hurt us as well was Bellerin and Holding got injured about the same time, and Holding was having a fantastic
Playing so
season.
well, wasn't he?
And also Hector Bellerin, I think if he's fit, he's a 35, 40 million pound player. He's also like a definite starter.
Top 5 right backs in the league, probably.
Yeah. So
fully fit.
so my starting lineup would have been obviously Leno. Who to begin the season I wasn't sure about. I thought here we go, we've got another one there. But he really did come good. Especially, and again, like any like goalkeeper, I don't think you can judge him in their first year in the Premier League. So yeah, towards the end he was fantastic. There's a lot of saves he made there. So yeah, obviously Bellerin once he's fit, hopefully Holding and the Socrates. From what I understand, maybe like Koscielny might be on his way out, which again I wouldn't. But then again, you look at his age and he can't start every game now. Is it best to potentially get him off the wage structure as well? But then it's another player you have to replace. This is the thing I'm worried about. We need to replace about 10 players to our squad, which like even if we're getting a couple of decent frees in it, it's like there's still going to be big wages that we have to pay. So yeah, I really do fear for Arsenal this summer. So I'm hearing good things about his left back from Celtic. I don't know if you know about him.
Kieran Tierney.
Yeah, I know, because I don't think I think he's going to break the bank. We still maybe cost us 25 mil.
Probably.
So I'll be honest, I've never seen him play because it's who like would watch Scottish football. But I've heard very good things. And when Hamill was walking upstairs, when Hamill, I go, how kind of good is this left back? He goes, he's good. So I went, but it's just Hamill talking. Yeah, exactly. I was very impressed with Guendouzi. I think him, as you say. Again, my fear with him is, say, he is only going to get better, I believe. And do we? I think unless we can improve now, rather than maybe waiting 3 years, that it's only going to be a matter of time till a bigger club kind of comes in and goes, and then we're in that situation we were like 2006 to like 2015 times where we couldn't afford to sign a Koscielny in his prime. We had to sign him with the 2 years worth of errors in him as well. So I hope we don't go back to them days where we're kind of signing players we know are going to be great, like a Vermaelen, or maybe the wrong kind of thing, but almost like an Adebayor or something like that, where we spend 5 million on him and then sell him for 25. Like, we can't go back to them days. Like, we need to start trying to move forward. That was the point why we moved to the Emirates in the first place. Because if not,
the top talent.
Yeah, so I was very impressed with Torreira, despite the fact he looked a bit leggy towards the end of the season. But again, I think once he's got his second season, I think he'll be even better. And I've got a big question mark at my third midfielder, because obviously, if Ozil goes, we've lost Ramsey. I would like to see, this is a bit of a rogue thing, to see Alex Iwobi played in the centre of midfield.
Because I think free cam.
Yeah, because I think he's fantastic. I think he's absolutely wicked. And the fact that he keeps, again, he's not moaning. He's been asked to go and play out the wide, either left or right. And I think instead of maybe spending, there was a guy you mentioned that we could probably potentially go and get for 25 million. Like, I think give Iwobi a chance first before I guess. He
had a really good season actually, Iwobi.
He did. Like, and again, his goal in the final. The thing is, it sounds. I don't want to talk like I'm on Arsenal fan TV or whatever, but it's like you need players that know what it means to play for your club to take you to that next level.
There's definitely an element.
If you think of our great Arsenal teams, there was a Ray Parler in there. There was the Tony Adams there, and I'm not. They're also very good players. You know what I mean? So you still have to be of that level, but it is important, I think, to know what it means to play for your club, because when it's the fan. That's when you need a player to kind of like put their chest out a bit more, rather than, I don't know, and it's not about soul, because they're all going to be professional, right? But I don't know. I would like to see Iwobi potentially given a chance in that centre midfield there, as that number 10. Then obviously if you put Iwobi there, then we're going to miss in a spot, because obviously I would play Laka through the middle and then Aubameyang on the right, and again, or left, or whatever you kind of interchange, isn't it? And then so you're also missing a kind of forward there.
Yeah, I had to think about the forwards actually, and my dream, because I think it'll be quite cheap this summer, will be Leon Bailey. I think he's really exciting, 21.
Yeah, you could probably get him.
And I think you could get him for 35 to 40. I think that's well worth doing.
Maybe a bit more than that, I think.
Yeah, nearly 3 shots a game, over 2.5 dribbles, really creative as well. And then my backup
super fast too, and actually. That's a really underrated problem in the Arsenal squad, and it's actually been a problem forever. Like, you can go back to like the 13-14 season where we were flying the first half of the year, and in the second half of the year, everyone was like, "Oh, Ozil in his first campaign with us, he really fell off." But actually, what happened is all of our fast players got injured, and we had no runners. And when you don't have any runners, like, teams can just push up and push up and push up and not be scared.
100%.
And that's what it's been like for us this season, especially when Bellerin's been out. it's often been the only guy with any pace is Aubameyang.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a real issue. Like, Maitland-Niles actually, I think, did a pretty creditable job filling in at right back. Like, I think Maitland-Niles is a really useful player. I think he's a smart player. I think he will be a useful squad player. And he's still very, very young. But that's not his position. And just having somebody with some pace on the wing would, I think, completely change the complexion of that Arsenal side.
100%.
Because we just don't have a. You look at all the top clubs, and they just have like. There's a fear factor that I associate with just like extreme pace. Like, they have players who can run away from you. Like, Hazard can run away from anybody. Like, Liverpool have so many fast players. City are rams with fast players, and I just think that you really, really need that in the modern game. And that's something that has annoyed me for a while. That I just think if you've got a choice between two players, both of whom are around the same level, but one is much, much faster, go for the fast guy. And time again, we're linked to guys who I like David Neres, right, at Ajax. But again, he's not that quick. He's okay.
Yeah.
But someone like Bailey is like extremely fast, and I genuinely do think like that is an underrated quality in footballers.
Massively.
Like, for years, Theo Walcott was a little bit underrated at Arsenal because people said like, oh, he doesn't have a brain and blah blah blah, and he's always injured, and those things were sometimes true. But at the same time, I remember when we would play Barcelona in those days, Pep Guardiola would say like, the player we are scared of is Theo Walcott because he is so quick that he's just a problem. And we have gradually moved away from that, with Walcott obviously getting old, Oxlade-Chamberlain leaving, Bellerin being injured. Like, gradually all our pace has disappeared from the side. And now we're in a position where if Aubameyang got injured, the whole game is played at walking pace. And you cannot be like that in the modern game. It's just, it feels like football from the past.
Right, you've heard it from us. Left back, centre midfielder, winger, get it done early. And Emery, give him another year. Let's move on to quickfire questions. Right, we're going to do quickfire questions really quickly this week for once, because we were rambling on about Arsenal for ages, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to go with Temish Bahal's question, who has asked, will Inter's defence be the best in Italy after Godin and Conte's arrival? Pato, do you think Conte and Inter match made in heaven?
I don't know about a match made in heaven. Like, Conte has some weird ideas about transfers sometimes, and Inter have their own stupid ideas. I feel like, yeah, he'll sort out the defence. Like, he's a very good defensive coach. Like, he's really good at working with what he's got. I mean, my main worry with Inter is that they'll keep the wrong players and sell the right players. So, the fact they went out and spent a huge amount of money on Nainggolan, I hated it at the time. Chris Howell and I disagreed on that one. Like, but then, that it seems like they rely on old players in attack. And I don't know, to me, they just need to really figure out what that midfield is and part ways with about 3 or 4 of their central midfielders who are surplus to requirements. I just think the squad is built in a way that doesn't really make sense right now, and if they can at least build towards somebody's idea of how the squad should be, then they will improve as a side. Because right now it just feels like every summer they go out and buy another central midfielder, and they've got almost no wide players, and their fullbacks are getting very old. I don't know. They just. I don't really understand what Inter are doing, but I think Conte covers a lot.
Jack, are you a fan of Conte from his time at Chelsea?
Oh, I actually was. I thought he got very harshly treated. To be honest with you, I remember seeing his team, because I saw his team play a few times when we were doing stuff for Carlin, and they were very well organised first and foremost, and then he built from that. So as you say, from what I'm hearing, like Inter, they need almost like a structural change, right? They need to actually try and build something. Like, again, a little bit like Liverpool, right? Rather than like, okay, we just want another midfielder in. So by the sounds of it, they've got a decent kind of coach in Conte, and any defence, despite his age, with Godin, is going to be a lot better than what it was before. So
100%. Alongside De Vrij as well, who had a good first year there. They've still got Skriniar. The talk of Skriniar leaving where he's actually signed a new contract. And then Icardi, the Icardi transfer's sort of gone quiet as well. So who knows what will happen there, but that's your answer, Tamish. And then we'll just do one more. Ross Billison has asked, what should Griezmann do after Barcelona rejected his signing? Can we just clarify that they haven't rejected his signing? I think there was a story that the players did a poll and they said that they didn't want him, but can you really imagine that happening in modern football? You ask the players whether you'd like to sign him?
No, Barca, I could imagine it.
Oh, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite
I can imagine Messi saying no.
Yeah, but they said it was because he acted like a spoilt child in the game last year. I mean, I think that's just paper talk, to be honest. Jacko, do you like Griezmann? What would you?
I
what do you think he should do?
The fact that Wenger should have signed him when he was at Real Sociedad still pains me to this day, to be honest with you. He actually wanted to come to Arsenal, and we said he wasn't good enough.
Fair.
And look what happened after that. So
True.
yeah,
we did sign Sanchez instead. In fairness,
there you go.
that would.
Pat, what would you, if you were Griezmann? What would you do now? You said you wanted to leave.
What do you mean? What can you do? Like, I mean, there's nothing to be done. Like, I would not. He's not worth his buyout clause at this stage of his career. Like, not nearly. I think he's a really weird fit for Barcelona because he's like pretty old. He doesn't really deal with Suarez aging, and he plays through the centre or off the right, where Suarez and Messi play currently. I mean, normally, historically, you would solve this sort of problem by shipping him out to Man United, Chelsea, or an Italian club, because they're like the thick clubs who will overpay for a player. I don't think United will do it this year. It looks like they're targeting kind of British talent. Chelsea obviously can't do anything because they're a corrupt club, and so they can't make transfers. And Italy, I don't know, unless Conte decides he wants him at Inter, like, I don't think Juve need him because Dybala is better than him and they apparently don't want him.
So say, I know we're going to go back to Arsenal, but say we would have scraped into the Champions League, do you think he would have came to Arsenal if we were playing Champions League football? Yeah.
I don't think he swapped Atletico Madrid to Arsenal, I'm afraid.
And
Fair
also,
enough.
I also wouldn't want him. Like, I mean, I just think like he's the same. He's 28. Like,
And he's another forward.
Like, he's another old forward. Like I think
Fair
you
enough.
could get like a couple of 24-year-old guys for the same money.
Well, that's all we've got time for on Continental Club this week. Thank you very much for watching. What would you guys like to push to? Jacko, have you got anything you'd like to say?
Nah, we've got no more football socials till new season.
Oh, thank God, mate.
Jacko needs a break, finally. Pat, anything you'd like to say?
No, I just hope that the Netherlands win the Nations League.
I'm kind of
final.
behind them as well.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
really
as
want
well.
Portugal to win. I thought they were really entertaining to watch last night. And if you've enjoyed this, go and check out yesterday's Stat Wars the Champions final with this man right here and Michael McCubbin. Won't reveal the result, but they had a very entertaining chat about swans and dogs.
Oh, yeah, we did.
So please go and watch that. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, Dave Jackson, first Continental Club of all time.
All time, mate.
Well, welcome. What a debut. Pato, we'll be back next week. See you later, guys. Bye.
Peace.